The storm hit without warning, turning the ocean into a restless wall of dark water. On the deck of the supply vessel, alarms echoed as crew members rushed in every direction. Equipment shifted, metal groaned, the sky flashed with distant lightning, revealing frightened faces for only a second at a time. Something had gone wrong far from shore, and the ship was drifting toward danger faster than anyone could control. In the middle of the chaos stood a quiet woman in a plain jacket, holding onto a railing with steady hands. Most of the crew thought she was just part of the logistics team assigned to observe the mission. No one knew her full background. When a sudden impact shook the vessel, panic rippled across the deck. A secondary system had failed. Critical equipment was locked in a section now inaccessible due to debris and shifting cargo. Without it, the ship's navigation would fail completely. A senior officer tried to coordinate the crew, but visibility was low and communication was unstable. The situation was tightening like a knot. The woman scanned the horizon, calculating angles through rain and wind. She had noticed something earlier, a damaged panel, but reaching it would require precision. One mistake could worsen the damage. Before anyone could stop her, she moved forward. Her name was Mara Ellis, though few on board realized it. To most, she appeared calm in a storm that frightened even experienced sailors. Inside, however, she felt the familiar weight of responsibility. She had trained for moments like this. Years of discipline had shaped her patience. She had learned to read movement, wind, and distance with the same focus others used for strategy. On land, she had been known for accuracy. On water, she had learned adaptability. Now the ship needed both. She climbed carefully to the upper deck, gripping metal rails as waves surged against the hull. Rain stung her face. Her breathing remained controlled. She spotted the damaged panel, partially shielded but exposed enough for a precise solution. The crew below shouted instructions to each other. Some tried to reach her, concerned about safety. Others focused on stabilizing the ship's systems. The tension was thick, heavy with uncertainty. Mara evaluated the distance between her position and the secured emergency line. It was not far, yet the wind made every movement unpredictable. She realized that if she misjudged even slightly, equipment could fall. She paused, not from fear but from calculation. A sniper's training is not about aggression, it is about patience, awareness, and control under pressure. She had carried those principles into every challenge in her life. Precision wasn't only about pulling a trigger, it was about timing. The vessel rocked violently, a loose crate slid dangerously close to the edge of the deck. Without thinking, Mara repositioned herself and secured it with a rope, preventing further damage. A nearby crew member watched in disbelief. He had assumed she was simply a civilian observer. Where did you learn to handle this? He asked through the storm. She gave a brief nod. Focus is the same everywhere. With steady hands, she used a compact tool from her kit to disable the malfunctioning panel. The action required careful alignment, one precise adjustment. Her movements were deliberate, almost invisible in their calmness. The system flickered, then responded. Inside the control room, monitors stabilized. The navigation data returned. The ship's direction corrected gradually, preventing it from drifting further toward hazardous waters. Relief spread across the crew. Some laughed nervously, others simply stared at the woman on the upper deck, realizing how close they had come to disaster. When the storm began to ease, the senior officer approached her with gratitude written across his face. We didn't know you had that kind of experience, he admitted. Mara shook her head gently. It's not about titles. She looked toward the horizon, where clouds slowly parted to reveal fading light. It's about preparation and responsibility. The crew gathered quietly around her, not with applause, but with understanding. Respect grew in silence rather than noise. They had judged her based on appearance, assuming she was just another passenger. Now they understood that capability does not always announce itself. Later, as the vessel returned safely to calmer waters, Mara stood alone near the railing. The ocean shimmered under clearing skies. She reflected on how easily assumptions can cloud judgment and how readiness often lives unnoticed until it is needed most. True strength is not about recognition, it is about action when others cannot act, and in that storm, the entire crew learned that leadership sometimes comes from the quietest voice in the room. The ship reached port safely, lives were protected, the mission continued because one person chose to step forward without hesitation. As the sun broke through the clouds, hope replaced fear, and the crew carried with them a lesson that would remain long after the waves settled. Courage is not defined by how loudly it speaks, but by how firmly it stands when everything shakes. Even in the darkest storm, preparation becomes light. If this story inspired you, share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to Cinematic Whispers for more powerful stories of hidden strength and unexpected heroes.